One. And we are recording. So once again, thank you. As I mentioned, I'm Danny Moss, and joining me is Ken Haxall from the Alberta Regional PD Consortia. How are you doing, Ken?
I'm doing well, Danny. Thanks for having me out here tonight. It's kind of this should be really good. I'm looking forward to it.
Right on. All right, let's dive in, everybody. We're here today to learn about Google Hangouts Meet. And so today we're going to learn about how to get started, how to create these sessions, how to share these with students, and then once you're in Google Hangouts Meet, how to actually share things like sharing your camera, sharing your screen. We'll even kind of look at a kind of a side backdoor way of sharing things like if you have a USB document camera, how you can share that during your session. And we'll also talk about a couple of privacy things, some updates they've made recently. For example, how you can prevent students from re-entering your Google Hangouts Meet session, or your Google, we can just call it Google Meet, can't we? After you've left. So we'll show you how to do that. And I don't know, I'd done this session about a week and a half ago, almost 2 weeks ago. And they've made some changes since then. So, you know, even though I was showing people before how you can create these sessions in your Google Calendar as well, I'm not going to recommend that anymore. And I'll explain why. It has to do with the way you create your session will be the way you can prevent students from being able to re-enter later on. Okay, so let's get started here. I'm just going to mute my own video in here so I can kind of get, so I can start things on this actual Google Meet page. And in fact, if anybody feels like hopping into my Google Hangouts session here as I'm demoing it live, we'll see if we can do both at the same time. Wouldn't that be interesting? And then I can demonstrate things like how to kick people out at the end of the meeting. So the easiest way to start a Google Meet session for your students is by clicking on a join or start meeting, okay? Now, there is a new setting in the G Suite that we encourage your IT departments to update, and that is they can, on their kind of back end in the IT, they can make it such that only teachers can create new video sessions. So you don't have kids hosting their own video sessions without you. That's certainly something. But what we do as teachers, we visit meet.google.com. Okay, I'll just copy and paste that in your browser. If you weren't sure, this is the easiest way. Google names all their tools in the very same way. They put the name of the tool, .google.com, right? Google Classroom is classroom.google.com, and so on. So it's very straightforward. Join or start a meeting. Now you will see something here on your screen. Can everybody see my screen? You will see something on my screen here, nothing scheduled today. Well, where is it scheduled? Well, that is the Google Calendar integration. And although there is a way to do that, and actually I will show you how to create a session in Google Calendar, because you may have a time where that is for where you want to invite specific individuals. So if you wanted to do a specific one-on-one session and you wanted to invite another colleague, and only that colleague, you could do so through Google Meet. Then it wouldn't be a public session, and then it would just show up if it were scheduled for a particular date or time. All right, so I'm going to say join or start a meeting. Okay, now this is a really important part, and this is a new update here. What you definitely want to do as a teacher, if you are going to be doing live video with Google Meet with students, is you do want to create a nickname. It can be very simple. For example, if I were, grade 4 teacher in my division, I could just say something like Moss 4. Now, before I hit continue, you might say to yourself, well, certainly there've got to be other people who want to choose Moss 4 out in the world. Well, the way it works with Google Meet, because it knows your own school division domain, my Moss 4 code would only work for, it's only unique to my school division. So if my cousin, whose name is also Moss, puts in Moss 4 for his or her meeting as well, we'll be in the same room. But you're not going to be in the same room as the other Moss 4s around the world or in other school divisions, okay? Does that make sense? So what you might want to do as a school, if you're doing this is an option for you, is to have a similar naming convention. And it doesn't have to be anything super tricky. In fact, you want it to be easy enough that students can come here to meet.google.com on their home computers, laptops, Chromebooks, or if they're using the app on a smartphone or a tablet, that they can just go and enter that meeting code, something they'll remember. So I'm just going to hit continue. All right. Now it will invite me to select a camera. Here's my camera. Now it's important to know that at this point, the meeting has started, okay? It is, even though I'm not actually in the room yet, it has actually started. So if I had shared that MOS 4 code with students on Google Meet, they would be able to go in here without me, even though I'm in kind of this lobby here. That makes sense? So you're gonna wanna join fairly quickly. And when I hit join now, it'll just give me that copy joining info, okay? And see that? So I have a Concordia University of Alberta Google for Education account, and that meeting nickname can only be used within Concordia University of Alberta. Now, it is important to note that students can't enter this room before you do. But remember, as soon as I type in that MOS 4 code, then students can join. All right, so you can copy that join info, and if you feel like it in your Google Classroom, this is a good safe place to put that meeting code. So what you can do is in your particular Google Classroom, you can go in whichever, you can put it in your stream here, or you can just put it in your classwork right at the top, create a material. Now I could say Google Meet code. So I could just put that in the description, I could paste it, it doesn't really matter, or I could just add it as a link, but let's just see if I put it in the description, because I copied a whole bunch of stuff here. So I could just click on that, and let's see, that was the Meet code, but let me backtrack on that because I want to say the join code is, in fact, all I really need to say is join code is MOS 4. And then on the link, all I really need to do is put meet.google.com, if that makes sense. So then the students will just go there, they'll type in that code, and because they're in my school domain, they will be able to hop into that meeting, okay? Now, would anybody care to join? If anybody else would like to join this session, let me just show you how to do that. So if you'd like to join that, let me just put it on crafty text here. If anybody would like to join this session, you can visit just to see what it looks like as a participant. You are welcome to open a new browser tab and go to meet.google.com, and you can just enter this particular join code when you get there. I don't think if you enter MOS 4, it's going to work for you because you're out of my domain, okay? So you don't have to join this. You can just watch me. That's totally fine. I can demo most things from here that you would need to see, but if anybody felt like joining, I could show you how to, what we could get out of the way right now is how to prevent students from staying in this room after you're finished your lesson or preventing them from coming back in, okay? So if anybody is, so how far ahead would you give the students code? Here's the thing, Mel. The good news is now that I've created this Google Hangouts Meet with my MOS 4 code, we can keep reusing and reusing and reusing and reusing this Google Meet. We don't have to create a new one. So yeah, it doesn't really matter how far in advance. If you've already put it in Google Calendar without a code, I would change it, Shelley, because have you shared it with students yet? Hey, Ken, I'm seeing a person in the waiting room. I'm trying to click the admit button to let her in, and it's not working for me. Do you mind seeing if you can let Anna in? All right, on. Thank you so much. Weird that I clicked on it, it wouldn't let. So if you've already invited the, oh, you've already invited the students. So, boy, that, I wonder, that I'm not sure of, Shelley. I'll see if we can now, if you've created this, if you can sort of delete that from your calendar, if that is enough, or if that session lives on. But I would go with the meeting code from here on in, and that sort of nickname. So I see nobody else has joined the session here, so I'll just leave it for now. But suffice it to say that in a Zoom, in your, make up any nickname you want, Shelley, something that'll be easy enough for them to remember and type in. So this is it. You're in Google Hangouts Meet. People are using their Chrome browser. I think that's an important one to note for your best functionality. I'm not entirely sure if it will work in the Edge browser or Safari, for example. So they may need to download the Chrome browser to get in and make this work. But if they will see you, and how this works in general is when they arrive, it will kind of show on the screen whoever is talking. Okay? So what I can do is, at whatever point in time, usually what I would want to do is present my screen, and I can start teaching a lesson, etc. And I'll show you what that looks like. So to answer your question in the chat, wouldn't a permanent code given to students allow them access all the time? And the answer is no. They've made changes to this in the last 3 weeks or so, and those changes should be applied. When they made those changes, it was about middle of March, March 18th, I want to say. Let's see where that, boy, it was March 19th, and they said it would be rolled out within 2 to 3 weeks, that change. So basically, what it does is once all other students are out of this meeting, even if they try to type in that meeting code again, and if you're not in there, they won't be able to get in. Now, if they don't want to leave, this is where I was hoping somebody else would join the meeting, but nobody else has, which is fine. You would go to this participant list, and you'll see a little kind of an option over the particular students. If you've got 5 kids hanging around afterwards, and that's cool, you know, talk to them for a little bit, connect with them, but now it's time to leave and they still haven't disconnected, you can just hover over, you'll see 3 dots here, and you can, or maybe it's a drop down arrow, I'm trying to go from memory here. You'll see an option to mute their microphone. And by the way, I haven't found a way to be able to mute their cameras, but you can mute their microphone. You can also remove them from the, so just go ahead and remove all the other students from that meeting, and then you can leave. And as long as you were the last person to leave, as long as you set up that meet with a nickname, now they can't come back in without you. Now tomorrow or next week or whenever you're back in there and you've entered the meeting code with the same nickname, now they can rejoin it, but only once you've gotten into the room. Does that make sense? All right, so now that we've got that out of the way, I'm going to click away from here and show you a little bit more functionality, okay? Let's say we go to present now. I want to share a website with students, so I will present my entire screen. Let's see here. I'm going to move this over here, and I will present the other screen. All right. So I can present my screen while I'm talking. What you should be able to see right now is you should be able to see, oh, wonderful, somebody else has joined this meeting. You should be able to see my video on the screen, and you should be able to see in addition to my webcam, you should be able to see my screen. So I can go ahead and teach. This works really nicely if you are, if you have 2 monitors, because you can see the students on one screen and you can see yourself on another one. So that's a handy way to see the students' faces on one screen and then what you're presenting on another one. But if you only have one screen, that's totally fine. It's just going to then, what you'll just, you will lose track of the students' video as well as the chat room while you are presenting your screen. Okay, so this is certainly a possibility. So for live instruction, you can just hit a stop sharing button and back you come over here. So that is the basic interface for this in terms of live instruction. Yes, Shelley, I believe it is that something like that, 3 dots like that. So wherever it is, you'll be able to see an option to kick out all the students. So give that a try, and then but make sure you set it up with that password. Okay. All right. So another option you have is recording the session. Now, this isn't normally a feature that's available in Google Hangouts Meet for the people who use the free version of Google Hangouts Meet. There are a few school jurisdictions in the province who sort of have upgraded to a higher paid version. Many school divisions are using the free version. But in light of current circumstances in the world and remote teaching, they've made this record meeting feature free. So what happens is, if you'd like to record a session, maybe there's a student who's sick or couldn't show up, the other option you have is coming into a meet room all by yourself, teaching a lesson with no students, and hitting the record button, such that it's a recorded lesson only, with no live students. So that's an option for you as well. For whatever reason, whether you want to record your session with students or record session without student, all you do is go up to these 3 dots in the bottom right corner, hit record meeting, hit accept, all right, and away you go. It'll show this record button up here. Just take a few seconds to get started. All right, there it is. I've got a little chime telling me it's recording. Now, as I do things like presenting my screen and as I present my screen or coming back to just my camera, anything I've recorded, I'm going to hit now stop recording. Now, where is that recording going to go? It is going to go in my Google Drive. So when I go into my drive.google.com, this is the handy part of it. That screen recording, it takes a few minutes to process it, depending on the length of it. But what you will see is Meet Recordings, a folder called Meet Recordings. Okay, here's one that I did a few days ago as a test. And within a few minutes, the new one should pop right in here. So that also becomes a very handy thing for you to share in your Google Classroom. If you want to help students come back to those materials that they missed the day before, they can just, you can go in your Google Classroom to add a material, add it from Google Drive, and then find that folder that says Meet Recordings, and then just attach that video recording in there. So let me just go find it. Let's see here. There it is. So I would just choose one in here, hit add, and there it is. Now I can share it with students, okay? So back in Meet, the question is, where was that record icon? It's in the lower right-hand corner. So just watch me here. I'm looking in the lower right-hand corner, these 3 dots here. I have that option to record the meeting, okay? There is a captions feature. I'll show you how it works. So when you turn on those captions, it is showing the text on the screen. As you're speaking it live, it's showing the text on the screen. Now, there might be some students who would benefit from something like this, but I would strongly suggest to you that this is going to be a distraction and not going to help students as much as you might think. Because it's physically impossible for people to pay attention to 2 things at once. Now, if you had a student with some special needs that really, for a very special reason, required these captions, that's one thing. But generally speaking, I would turn this piece off. It shows right at the bottom, if you're looking at my screen here, there's a big button over here right next to the Present Now, a big button for Turn On Captions. So there you go. So Jad has asked, can students record the session? I don't believe so. I don't know that for certainty. Jad, that's a very good question. Let me look into that one, okay? If you fire me a quick email, I'll get you a 100% response. I don't think anyone else other than the meeting facilitator can record it, It seems to be me to be a bit of a privacy concern if everybody could record the session, right? But you never know. I doubt it, but I will find out for sure. So I'll just type my email in here. Yeah. All right. So again, you've really got two main options here in terms of how you're going to use Google Hangouts Meet. One is the live session with students, and the second one is sort of a recorded session with no students, that you're just going to present those recordings to students later on to view on their own. There are some entire countries that are not doing live synchronous video with students. My colleague Jeff told me that he thought he'd heard that most of the states in Australia right now are not doing live video with students. Presents a bit of a risk, and frankly, you don't know what a student's going to show or do or say on a live video. And honestly, if somebody said, what would our recourse be if a student does act out on video? I don't actually know the answer to that. And I'm not sure if your school divisions have thought of those scenarios or not. Does your school conduct policy, your division conduct policy apply? I don't know. But things could go sideways in a hurry. What you're going to see in the background of a video, all of it, right? It's really, really difficult to say. Muting is one thing, but seeing video is an entirely different thing. So that's why some people are doing some of their lessons recorded, and then maybe just meeting with students in smaller groups, 5 students, 6 students, or maybe have a drop-in session. Whoever needs help with this, drop in for this video session, so you're not constantly managing a full group of students at all times. So that's, you look to your division for more guidance on how often you should be doing live sessions for people. It's a good question, Shelley. Shelley's referring to there is sort of a built-in green screen feature in Zoom that can kind of remove your own background, and Google Meet doesn't have that, at least not yet. So why? Who knows? I don't know. All right. So some other people have asked, well, what if I want to use a document camera for my lessons? Okay. Well, you have some options with that, okay? And one option is to switch your source. So here right now, I've gone into my 3 dots in the bottom right corner. If you saw what I did there, I went into my 3 dots in my bottom right corner. I went into my settings, and I changed my video from my webcam to my IPVO document camera. Here, I'll turn my webcam back on. Let me just turn that off. Here's my IPVO document camera. All right. So it's $150 for my IPVO. It works with any webcam. I've seen people create their own little rig setups to kind of have a camera above somehow pointing down. There's a lot of clever ways to do that. So it doesn't have to be a document camera. Now, I don't know if you feel comfortable switching back and forth in your settings while your live sessions are going on, to change your video camera from your regular one to your IPVO. When you're doing this live with students, it becomes much more difficult to switch camera sources, okay? So some of you might want to sort of have the best of both worlds, where they can see your face, but then they can also see your document camera. Well, this is kind of possible, and I'll show you how. All right, what I'm going to do here, so to answer your question, Robin, is it better to do it in Google Meet or Screencastify? Honestly, it's wherever you feel more comfortable. I personally am a huge Screencastify fan, and I love it. It also, when you record Screencastify, will also go automatically into your Google Drive. So it's really, Shelley, I don't know, it is an inexpensive, there's also a brand called Q, and the reality is right now, all of these low-cost document cameras are in pretty much a worldwide shortage. So you could have a challenge. But I want to show you kind of another way to bring in your document camera onto your screen. And for those people who aren't able to get a document camera, how you can use your phone as a wireless, or tablet as a wireless document camera using that same tool. Sound too good to be true? We will see. All right, so there is a tool called, let me go over here, and it is called IPEVO Visualizer. Okay, this is a Chrome app. Let me load it up here. This is a Chrome app that you can download it and install it using the Mac version if you want. Let me just minimize it there. You can download it for Mac, for Windows, Chrome, a whole bunch of other versions. But I've downloaded and installed the Chrome version. It's very easy to do, particularly if you've got a Division laptop right now and you don't have the ability to install programs on it. The Chrome apps you can install, most likely, without any problems. And so when this thing loads up, you basically have now this IPEVO visualizer. It can bring in your webcam over here right onto your computer screen. So now all I really need to do is hang on one second. I'm going to move this over here to my other screen, and I'm going to do a screen share. I'm going to present my screen, and you'll see how this will look. And I'll just give me a moment to pick which screen. So now I'm going to present the screen that has my IPEVO document camera on it. So what I'm hoping you should be able to see right now is my IPEVO document camera, okay, on my screen. And you should be able to see my webcam at the same time. And hopefully you'll be able to verify that through the group chat that this is actually working, okay? So now when I go in my my Google Hangouts Meet and I turn on that recording feature, now I'm recording my document camera. Now if I want to flip to a PowerPoint or a website in the background, whatever it is, I can do my teaching here. I can go back to my document camera. I'm recording it all. People can still see my face. I'm recording it. And I'll just stop sharing my screen right now. And it works really, really well. So that is certainly an option, whether you're doing live instruction with students or if you are doing, you can't see my face. Right now, you mean? Oh, 1 second. It's just turning off my, there, yeah, sorry. I think with everything going on, I'm doing a Zoom session. I'm recording my Zoom session. Oh, now it's presenting my screen again. Stop presenting. I meant to turn that off. All right. I guess not. So I guess you can't see my face and document at the same time. But what would happen in the recording, I should have said, when I had that recording feature turned on, while I was recording my screen, you can also see my webcam in the recording later on. So thank you for pointing that out, that jury Jad, that while I'm doing the screen share of that document camera, that you wouldn't be able to see that my face as well. So that is a bit of a downside to that. The kids will see your face. But yeah, if it's a Google Meet session, then you might be able to see it at the same time, is what Shelley is trying to say. So you can see it through Zoom at that time, but you can see it in Google Meet session. Can't remember for sure on that one, but I will take your word for that, is Claire. Thank you. So people who do tools, parents or other teachers or things like that, to a one-on-one call where you might want to set it up instead of using a nickname, you might want to set it up through your Google Calendar. I'll show you how to set that up in a moment. But before we leave here, I want to show you that piece I was telling you about where you can use your camera as a wireless document camera, your camera phone or your tablet as a wireless document camera. So it does involve this IPEVO visualizer software. So you've got that installed on your computer. Then on your camera, you're going to install an app. I'm going to type it in the group chat, iDocCam. It is also by IPEVO, and they're making it free just for now. So let me just load that up so you can see what this looks like on here, and then I'll demonstrate it on the screen, okay? So this is basically using your phone or your tablet. As long as you're on the same wireless network as your computer, you can use that phone or tablet and it takes over the camera to be the document camera on your screen. And so now using that plus this IPEVO visualizer, we can make this happen, okay? So let me just load up this IPEVO visualizer. I'm going to, on my phone here, I'm going to load up this iDoc Cam. My laptop at home is on the same wireless network. Here it is, showing my document camera. Now watch what happens. If you go to your IPEVO visualizer, now watch up here. This is IPEVO visualizer. Now I'm going to switch my camera source. See right up here in the upper left of IPEVO visualizer? Right now I've got V4K1. Aha, Daniel Moss's iPhone. Check it out. This is it. This is off my phone right now. Okay. Now I can use my phone as a live document camera on the screen, and I can be recording that too through Google Hangouts Meet if I feel like it. Okay. And I can switch back and forth at any time from that phone camera. Look at that. I can even choose the front camera or the rear camera. I'm going to go back to my document camera. Does that make sense? Now, this app is not going to be free forever, but it's free for now for at least a month. So if you want to give it a try, let's say it's going to be a month until your document camera comes in the mail. Does this allow your division to access your cell data? I have no idea. This IPEVO iDoc Cam really has nothing to do with your division, and it really doesn't have anything to do with Google Hangouts Meet. It's just Google Hangouts Meet is just going to be recording the screen, or you can just show it live to students if you don't want to record it. But I don't think it's really granting access to your cell data, etc. So that is the general functionality of setting up a Google Hangouts Meet. Remember, I'm going to just end this call now here, end it. We want to make sure that all the students are out. I go to this participant list and I click on every student, the little 3 dots next to each student, and kick them out at the end. And then I will end the meeting. All right. So I can return to that home screen. It's now over. Now I can enter, next time I can just enter that same Moss4 nickname, and we can get back in, and all the students can come back in as well. We can reuse that code over and over and over, but only people in my school division. So if you wanted to set up a Hangouts Meet session with like a parent or a colleague or someone like that, or a very specific individual, we can do that through Google Calendar. So calendar.google.com. You're going to go to whichever day you'd like to set it up. And just on the particular day, let's say I want to set it up tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock. I'm just going to double click in my Google Calendar. Okay, call it conference time. Now watch this part here. Just below these first details in terms of location, see where it says add conferencing? You can choose Hangouts Meet. Bingo. So that is the Hangouts Meet, and then go over to where you want to add guests, and you can type the email address of the person you'd like to email. Now, could this work if I just hit save in my Google Calendar and did not invite anyone, and then just use that? You can see that Meet code right in there. Could I do that and copy that and give it to students? Yes, I could, and they could join it. However, if they're joining with that 3-digit, 4-digit, 3-digit code, now you're not able to prevent people from going back into that room. And so that's where the suggestion is, start on meet.google.com for students and create that nickname the first time. You can reuse it each time. You can use a different nickname if you prefer. It doesn't really matter. But as far as inviting people from outside your district, like a parent, or even other colleagues. Maybe it's just an individual or 2 or 3 individuals. Maybe it's 3 other grade 4 teachers. You want to meet together and collaborate. Just type in their names, choose this Hangouts Meet for the conferencing option, and it'll send them the link, and everybody can just click on the exact link, and away you go, you can join your Meet session together. Okay, does that make sense? Good. So there's a really, really handy blog post. If you forget anything that I've shown you here tonight, even though I'm recording it, there's a really great blog post that a smart dude named Eric Kurtz, he's a very good blogger. If you like the Google technology stuff, he's super good into this. He's got a fantastic blog, and he has given some videos how to use Google Hangouts Meet. So if you forget how to start a live meeting, look at this one, the second from, or the very bottom, how to keep students from joining or rejoining a meet without you. Great video, in case you forget that part. It talks all about what we've talked about, setting up that nickname and all of that. So he also talks about, has anybody seen that grid view? There is this grid view with Google Meet. I know a lot of you are able to, I'm gonna just go into this MOS 4 again, and I'll show you what that looks like. If there are multiple people in, this is a Chrome extension that has been created, it was released just a few weeks ago. And my camera's not gonna work here because, there it is. What it shows you is that that grid view is now, if you've got 15 or 20 participants or 25 students, what it does is it will now, if you've got that extension added, and lots of school divisions are just pushing that out, automatically installing it for their teachers, it now will give you that Brady Bunch look where you've got everybody's video on your main screen there, divided up. And it's really handy. You can even do things like highlight the speaker. So if you've got 9 or 12 or 20 kids on the screen and you don't know who's talking, it'll put a little kind of blue halo around their box, whoever's talking. So it can be an easier way to keep track of people. And it can even put you in the grid as well if you want. Now, if you have grid view installed and students do not, I don't think it's going to put the grid up for the students, as far as I'm aware, just for yourself. But someone could correct me on that if I were wrong. It also has a little checkbox. If 5 kids don't have their webcam turned on, they don't want to turn their webcam on, you know, that's, it would only show the people whose webcams are on. So it could be a good thing, it could be a distracting thing. Just be aware of it. It does exist if you want to use it or not. So that is a follow-up for that. So when we look back at the things we've learned here today, here's what we've covered. We started with how to create that meeting right on the meet.google.com with a nickname. It can be reused. You can just type that nickname in your Google Classroom. Hey kids, visit meet.google.com and type in this nickname. If they're in your school division, that nickname will work to get into your room. It won't work for parents to get into the room, but it will work for you. You'll have to copy the full join info if you want parents to join or people outside your school division. So we learned about that. We figured out once we're in Google Meet, there's that Present Now button, which gives you a chance to present your entire screen or a certain window in that screen. We looked at how to record a session with these 3 dots over here. We learned how to record that meeting and that it does go right into your Google Drive. There it is. Here's the one we did just a short time ago. And then using Google Classroom, it's very easy to send that attachment back to students through Google Classroom. So those are things we learned. We did talk briefly about the turning on captions, but you know, I wouldn't personally do it. I feel like it's a distraction, but that's your call. In terms of kicking people out at the end of the session, we learned how to click on that People tab up here and go ahead and click the 3 dots next to each student and then remove them from the meeting at the very end if they haven't removed themselves. There is that, we didn't really talk about the chat box, but it's pretty self-explanatory, being able to type things in there. Hyperlinks do work. And we talked about the scenarios of recording your sessions without any students as well, and not having students live and just doing a recording session, whether it was just your webcam or a presentation view, or even using tools like that IPEVO visualizer, then visualize a USB document camera, or using the iDocCam app on your phone as a wireless. So give that a try before doing it with students. Come in and practice a little bit by yourself in these rooms, what I would advise you to do. And you can also teach kids things like making sure they mute their microphones at the beginning of sessions. You can also teach them how to turn their camera off if they just don't want to be on their video to be seen by other people. You know, not everybody wants to be seen on the camera when students are using the chat mode as their way to silence their typing. No, I don't know how you can. Again, the only thing I'm aware of is either kicking them out or muting their audio is really, Robin, the only thing I'm aware of in the way of controlling students. Could we point our laptop camera at the Promethean and record a lesson? Yeah, why not? There's certainly, if your lesson is on the Promethean screen, you could just do a screen recording, and if you're inking on that, you could go over and ink on that screen. It would do it through the screen recording. But if you want kids to see you standing at the Promethean, by all means, yeah, find a document camera that you can get far enough away from the Promethean, or point your laptop and at the Promethean, and yeah, you could just show, they can watch you at the Promethean board. Did anybody see, there was a guy on Facebook, somebody posted a video on Facebook. There was a person who was teaching a chemistry lesson, I believe it was chemistry, in his bathroom, and he was using his shower, his plastic shower, as a whiteboard. It was awesome, super creative. He had a 5-gallon pail. Yeah, he had a 5-gallon pail sitting on his toilet and a laptop on top of that pointing into his shower. And he was like, oh, I don't have the link on me right now, Shelley. I don't even know where it would be at this point. But apparently it is an Alberta teacher. I had somebody in a different session who said, yeah, that's my colleague. I know that guy. So just the incredible creativity. So yeah, could you then do that with a Promethean board? Yeah, you absolutely could do that with a Promethean board. If you're in school and you are able to find a way of pointing a camera towards that. Now, the only thing to be aware of is if you're on a laptop and you're pointing it at the Promethean board, are you close enough to the laptop that they can hear you? So do a test of this before you try it with students. But as I said, people are being super creative right now to be able to make those connections. Kids love seeing you, okay? And they're actually starving for something to do, something to learn, something to participate in. They're wired. We are all wired for connection. Anybody watching Jody Carrington and her stuff? Yeah, we are wired for connection. Not today, Corona. My wife watches this all the time. She's enjoying it. Anybody watching them? Does anybody have any clue what I'm talking about? Anybody watching Dr. Jody Carrington? She's a psychologist from Alberta here. She's doing 2 live sessions a day on Facebook Live. Anyways, I do apologize. For those of you who have no clue what I'm talking about, she swears a lot. Yeah, I'm just going to point that out before you go watch her. So that is about it. That's all I can think of. Check out that Eric Kurtz Control-Alt-Achieve blog post if you'd like to learn more. And yeah, as I said, if you want to connect with people outside of your division, just go into your Google Calendar, set it up that way, and then just choose the add conferencing piece, and then just add guests and send it to them, okay? Then both you and they will have that link to then go and meet together. So I'll stick around. We're a little bit we're ending a bit early tonight. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, Ken Haxall, for joining us from ARPDC as well. And if you have any burning questions that I might be able to answer, as you can see, I know some about Google Hangouts Meet. I'm not a complete pro. I don't have all the answers. I did say I was going to look up something, didn't I? I'm trying to recall what it was I said I would look up. I'd be doing a repeat session on this one from the morning that was popular, informative assessment. Yeah, you know what? I really should. I feel terrible about that. That was just an error that I made. I don't know how I screwed that up. I was jumping out of that meeting and hopping into another one, and I must have clicked the wrong button or stopped that download somehow. So my apologies on that one. But yeah, for sure, if there's an interest, and review the code entry prior to the session in Google Classroom. Perfect, I'll do that. So yeah, if you'd like to stick around for some more, I'm gonna hit this. No, I guess I may as well keep recording it. If you have any more questions, you'd like anything re-demonstrated, I'll definitely do that one. But otherwise, thank you so much for coming. And you can find those session recordings. It will be on Monday, April 6th. It will be, sorry, Tuesday. Man, it's Tuesday already. It'll be right under here in probably half an hour. Okay. Well, thanks, Robin. I'm enjoying it too. And it's a real pleasure to be able to work with all of you. And my thanks go to all of you. And I know the association is super proud, and we're all really proud of the hard work you guys are doing. And it's a lot of hours, and it's a lot of hard work, and it's greatly appreciated. So thank you guys very much. All right, you have a great evening as well. And Shelly, if you do want to stick around, or whoever it was, yeah, the quick review bonus. Okay, I'm going to just end this now. Thank you everyone for coming. I'll just stop this recording.